Hi, and welcome to the Inner Athlete Training Podcast. I'm James Jenkowitz, your host, and today we have an amazing guest. We have somebody who's going to share a lot of insight. His name is Rob Klein. Rob is a wellness consultant, a personal trainer, nutrition consultant at Crunch Fitness. And the part of Rob's story that's so unique is Rob has been struggling with MS for a good portion of his life. And the more I got to know Rob, when I've had some conversations with him, his inspiration was just simply infectious. So I wanted to invite him on to share his story. And for those of you who are not familiar with MS, in a nutshell, the immune system starts attacking itself. It starts attacking the myelin sheath, the protective layer that covers nerve fibers, and then hence causing communication problems between the brain and your muscles and the rest of the body. So it's a tough road, and Rob is just dealing with it like a champ, and he inspires a lot of his clients too. So Rob, welcome to the Inner Athlete Training Podcast.
Thank you very much, James. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much. And what I want you to do, let's just start from the beginning, like you and I talked about a while ago. Let's just start with your story. Tell us, how it started out, how the MS started expressing itself in your life. And what I really want to get to after that part is, the superior way in which you emotionally navigate it.
All right. Yes. So basically, it started out back in 1999, pretty much in the summer, is we were having a company softball game at our old company of Parisi's. And being a former town, high school, and college athlete of baseball and football, I remember one of our employees picking me right away to be on his team, and we went to have a catch. And when he threw the ball at me, granted it's been many years since I played baseball, but he threw the ball at me and it bounced off my arm. And even his name was Steve, was like, "What's going on?" And I just said, "I don't know, but don't throw it at my head." He threw me another ball and I couldn't catch it, and I missed it. Then when we were taking batting practice, I couldn't even hit the ball, and I looked like someone who's never played the game before. So the
And
next
this showed
day,
up just one day out of nowhere.
well, yes, and
That's interesting.
what was very interesting is that it was my eyesight. So I went to one of my clients who happened to be an ophthalmologist. He gave me some, like the standard, what's better, lens one or lens two, and then nothing was getting better. So he sent me for an MRI, and a couple of days later, when the results came back, he came into the gym and told me himself, the MRI says most likely represents MS. And in a small world that we live in, I'm very familiar with MS because my mother has had it for many years prior to me even being aware of mine.
Mm.
But with that being said, I also in college, one of my jobs in college was after school kindergarten. And one of the things my roommate and I did was take care of the kids, but we drove home one young kid whose mother had MS. So we would drive her home, and being college kids, she was paying us, and we, not being the nice people we were, we took our money because we were getting paid for it. And I noticed her, she had had no control of her arms. So she was trying to write a check and couldn't do it. So my whole thinking was, oh my God, I'm driving home to tell my parents about my diagnosis. And I'm envisioning this lady who had no control of her arms. But then my mother, fortunately, I've never seen anything too bad. But then I went to see an MS specialist, and he confirmed the diagnosis of my MS. The weird thing is that my vision was so bad, and 21 years later is still that way. My vision is pretty much considered legally blind.
Mm.
Because in my good eye, I'm 2200, and in my bad eye, I'm 2400. And from what I've done in research, was legally blind is roughly 2200.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's what I find that amazing, because to me, now 21 years later, it's totally normal. But I think everything happened when I went to played college football freshman year. I made a tackle. I was a middle linebacker. I made a tackle, and I got, a burner, which was usually down one of your shoulders, and it hurt my neck where I was getting burners down my spine every single time.
Elaborate on a burner for somebody who might not know what that is.
Yes. So a burner is when a athlete makes a tackle, they would get a fiery sensation that would start from the neck and run down usually down one of the arms. Now for me, and that happens every now and then, you just make a weird tackle. For me, every time I made a tackle, it was happening down the center of my spine, which was very painful. And I had to take a break from football. And that happened freshman year. So in 1992, that happened. I did not get diagnosed until 1999. So the theory is that within that 7 years, my vision was so slowly getting worse that I never even realized how bad it was until I tried to do a fine motor skill of like catching a baseball. Because in that entire time, I played college baseball sophomore year. I quit playing football because of my injury. And I went to play college baseball sophomore year, and I played. And then after sophomore year, I said, you know what? I wasn't playing that much, so therefore I just stopped. But still, I was playing college baseball and softball all through college. So I did not realize anything for many years later that my vision was bad until I tried to catch a ball and I could not, or even try to hit the ball. And for someone who, growing up in my small hometown, that was an all-star, received MVP a couple years, was held the batting, my batting record one year was 623 for my 16-year-old season,
Wow.
which is pretty good. So, it was a shocker to me. And that's when I really decided to get checked out. And then that's when it happened. But until then, my only challenge for all those years was my vision. I was still running 3 to 4 miles a day with some colleagues. I was working out. I was strong as I could be. Only challenge I had was my vision.
But Rob, just to be clear, you're not making a connection between that incident and triggering the MS, are you?
No, I think that there's theories out there that MS lies dormant in your body until you suffer a injury or something that may awaken it. Like my mother was in a pretty bad car accident, and she feels that was the trigger point that maybe let loose the MS.
That's interesting. I've never heard that. So that's a commonly held belief within the. Is that a medically established belief, or is that just?
You know what? I'm not quite sure. There, even like any autoimmune disease, there's so many theories out there that no one really truly knows.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some theories of where we are in position to the equator and lack of vitamin D that puts people more susceptible to autoimmune disorders, or
a lot of variables.
There's a lot of variables. So the only thing I could think of when I remember one of my doctors actually asked me, "Have you ever had an injury?" I go, "Well, I did have this." And I go, maybe. So it's hard to, obviously like anything else, you can't pinpoint it, but
sure.
That may have been what started it.
Was your mom a young woman when it happened to her?
Yeah, yes. My mother was probably in her, I'm trying to think when my brother's 6. So my mother was probably in her late 20s, early 30s. But when my mother got diagnosed, there was nothing that happened. The doctor said there's nothing you can do about it. Learn to live with it.
So the eyesight had been deteriorating between 1992 and 1999, and it became most evident that one day while you were playing softball.
Yes, it was deteriorating since then, but I never noticed it until that one day of softball. Like not once did I notice, like, wow, I can't see that license. I just didn't put it together. Maybe
so you had no other reason to go to the doc and say, could I get tested for this?
Nope. And then I didn't even say, one of my clients just said, "Hey, how was softball the other day?" I go, "Well, shockingly enough, I couldn't hit the ball or see the ball." And he's the one that said, "Come and see me and we'll get you some glasses." And that's And I had a pair of glasses for baseball because I have a slight stigmatism.
Mm-hmm.
So I did wear glasses in high school, and I was wearing them in college just to kind of basically just hit the ball. I didn't really need them in the field. I just wore them when I was at the bat. And he's like, "Oh man, you probably need a new pair of glasses." And nothing worked. So therefore, and it's because I have what's called optic neuritis, which is inflammation of the optic nerve. And in 95 to 97% of the cases, it is resolved within weeks. So it is a very big mystery of why mine is still going on 22 years later. So it's MS is typically not, it's a more common in females. So therefore, and it's not, they say it's not hereditary. So I try to make a joke out of it and say I do the short stick of the short stick of the short stick. So,
Right.
and the fact is that it's usually not in both eyes. It's usually only in one eye.
Mm.
So every time I go back to an eye doctor, which is not that often, but it is recommended I get tested for a new disease because it's very uncommon that, like, I got tested one time for what's something called Graves' disease, which wasn't officially diagnosed until 1997, and I was diagnosed in 2007. I mean, they found out about it in 2000 and something, and I was diagnosed in 99. So they hit this another blood test, we'll do this. And every single time they tested me for another illness, it never was anything else.
Okay, there's a bunch of stuff I want to get into, but let me start with this
Yep.
question I was about to ask you.
Yep.
So what are some other symptoms other than deteriorating eyesight that somebody might look for that may tell them that they are experiencing MS or may have MS?
Well, now that's one of those questions for the ages, as they say, because there are, the most common symptom is what I had, which was optic neuritis. But you read, every time you read someone else's story, they have something different. I'll never forget, I read one story where a lady felt numbness in her left butt cheek and had a million different tests, nothing showed up. And then they, for whatever reason, they tried to did an MRI or spinal tap, and it showed up as MS. Some people have numbness, tingling, pins and needles. There is a lot. There's this dystopia, which is like double vision or blurred vision and like that. So they bouncing around, eyes bouncing around, and they see dots. So there's a lot of more common with visual challenges.
Right.
But some people have numbness, or like my mother had crazy migraines that would never go away. So she thought she had a brain tumor. So when she did the MRI, they said, we got good news and bad news. The good news is you don't have a brain tumor, but you do have MS. So that's how she discovered hers. She did not have the optic neuritis.
So MS could show up in a myriad of different symptoms.
100%, yes. I mean, in many, many, many different ways. It's almost like it's rare that the same thing happens twice.
Wow.
Or not twice, but it's like, every time you talk to someone else, like I have a couple clients that have MS, and they all had everyone had a different onset of symptoms.
Right. So then talk a little bit about, so you got diagnosed in 1999. Yep. Talk about what your journey was from then to now. Did symptoms get worse? Did they get better? I want to get into your career and how you work with people and help people, but let's just talk about, your day to day from 1999 up to now.
Sure. Well, in the beginning, only challenge I had was my vision. I was still running and training like crazy, getting to my strongest ever was. When I met my wife, in 2000. So in the next year, everything was still fine. I was running, jogging, doing everything. And I had no limitations really besides my vision. And for the longest time, every time I go to the neurologist every year, and he'd be like, "There's no change in your MRI." And in the MRI, they're looking for more lesions in your brain or spinal cord. Okay. And the lesions are going to be on a part of your brain or spinal cord that affect what's going to affect your body. And for probably for 10 or 12 years, there was never everything. It was always status quo, status quo. So we just assumed that the medication I was taking was working. And then then it started to go. And then all of a sudden I started limping. I started having probably about 5 to 7 years ago. So not even that long ago, I started having more challenges with my legs. My challenges are on my left side of my body. My right side is pretty much fine. So over the years, like I needed shoulder surgery, and I had surgery all set actually when I got diagnosed. And I was supposed to get surgery in November, and I got diagnosed in May. And my neurologist said, don't do surgery because there's a lot of information out there that says additional stress can cause your MS to go into an attack and make it worse. So, but because of the MS, my left grip, my left hand, my left arm, it's now got into my left leg where I walk with I have a limp now, and I have chronic extreme weakness in my left leg. I can't lift up my left leg more than 2 times. I hyperextend my left knee. Coming from one of the gyms, going from one gym to the other gym, I end up rolling my left ankle really bad, and now I have left ankle problems. So over the years, it's progressed a fair amount where now I'm sensitive to the heat. People with MS tend to be very sensitive to the temperatures, and with the heat, I used to sit in a jacuzzi drinking beer and be fine. Now, if it's hot out, I go outside, and within a half hour, I become a bowl of Jello, and so that was never the case. I was always outside in the summertime, running around, doing everything. So I would say in the last 5 to 7 years, as things started to progress, and which is why I started changing my medications over the years, so that they would try to help balance things out and hopefully hold it at bay. So that was my main change over the years. But it did take many years. Like I said, I'm on 22 years now, so I probably went 15 years with minimal changes. And then in the last 5 to 7 years, I've been slowly going downhill.
And do those other changes, do they just pop up one day, or do you feel it's slowly coming on?
No, it was it was all chronic and slowly developing. Probably I think it was 7 years ago, I had hip surgery. I needed hip surgery for something that I was going through, and probably because of that, I can't. I always say, the doctors say no, but I have a hard time lifting my leg up more than twice, and it's right in the hip joint. But I did have surgery right there, and I think maybe the doctors either did something, or it's just the trauma from the surgery.
Right.
Not quite sure, but yeah, now I can't jog. The biggest annoyance that I had for many, many years, probably going back 7 to 9 years, is I would get electrocuted. The best way to explain it, electrical shock in my groin. And being a male, and no one, that doesn't have to be male or female, but it literally would start deep in my groin, and then really at the top of my inner thigh, almost between my legs, and run down my left leg, and would paralyze me. Where like I would take a step, I'd get electrocuted, and I would almost fall to my knees. And it just happened. And so basically, I was afraid to walk. And being a trainer, being on my feet all day long, going from one side of gym to the other side of gym was not so easy. But my clients who are amazing and have been with me, fortunately, my clients typically stay with me between 5 to 7, if not 12 years, 13 years. I got clients for 21, 22 years. And they all are caring and understand, and they just slow down and they walk with me, or we don't go too far. But that's my biggest thing. So I've been battling that for a long time, and I got to say, thankfully, for the last 6 months or so, it's kind of went away, and now I can feel. It's funny how you appreciate the little things in life, and now I'm like, oh, I can walk from where I am in my family room to the bathroom without getting electrocuted, and so you really truly appreciate one, what other people go through, and two, how we all kind of put aside the simple things in life that we all take for granted, like walking. Or, and I had a joke with my college roommate, one of my best friends who I was just texting with yesterday, who also suffered from back injuries. He had some major issues as well. And he was the star quarterback. I'm one of the running backs. And I'm like, all right, so I'm walking around the block with a cane and he can barely walk. We'd be like the turtle racing the turtle, just trying to go. So we're like, we're two former athletes who now are happy that we can walk. So it really has changed my mindset. And I really feel that this is something that has, and the reason why I created the video I created, to try to inspire others, because I feel if I can do what I do with the challenges I have, most people can also achieve more than where they are now.
Right. And I do want to get into that.
Yes.
But one more question before we get into
Yeah.
that. And I will roll the video during this podcast as well. Do you feel, and is there any evidence for the level of your activity may have been influential at keeping MS at bay? Because you've been very active, you've been a trainer. Is there any evidence out there to substantiate a theory like that?
Yes. I mean, I feel there is evidence out there, like anything else, right? So if someone is in better shape and healthier, they will have a better course of life or easier life and less challenges. So I did, one of the first things I did, and you're in the profession as well, so you're familiar with it too, but I did my research and like, all right, what should I avoid eating? All right, maybe I should. And then one thing was the anti-inflammatory diet. Maybe I should minimize, there was a lot of research out there that maybe grains and dairy cause inflammation. So I minimized that. I did vegan for 6 months. I really went hardcore vegan for 6 months to see if that would help.
Did the diet help at all?
The vegan, it helped a little bit, but really not enough. It's more of a nuisance than, we are calling it not a nuisance. It was just more challenging because my wife would eat dinner with me and be vegan for dinner. And then I would have breakfast and lunch, or lunch, whatever. I do a lot of intermittent fasting just naturally. And I would have a vegan lunch. And then I would have a vegan dinner and she would just have a vegan dinner with me. So we just stopped. It wasn't enough of a change to continue doing it, but we do incorporate probably a vegan meal, vegan dinner 2 or 3 nights a week, or in salads or whatever else that are all vegan friendly, but not enough to create the change. But I do feel that over my lifetime of what I've been doing, that yes, I eat minimally processed foods, if any. I do eat a little bit there, here and there. I eat very clean. I eat very healthy. I keep my body, my health is very, besides the obvious, but I keep my body fat almost in the single digits. I work out religiously. I do my cardio. I do my strength training. I do my flexibility work, which we all could do more flexibility work, but I definitely feel that my lifestyle choices of being healthier and staying in shape have truly helped me keep the way I am now and be healthier. Because I do see a lot of other people that either with illness and without illness, I got clients that have MS that have lost weight and improved their eating, and they did feel better. So 100%.
Got it. So when did you get into the field of being a personal trainer? Were you already doing that back in 1999, or is that something you got into after?
No, I went to college knowing I went to college to study and got my degree in exercise science.
Okay.
Originally, I wanted to go into cardiac rehab, and that's what I did my schooling in. My college had 3 majors, 3 sub-majors inside of exercise science. So it was athletic training, which I knew I didn't want to do. There was phys ed teaching, which at the time I said I didn't want to do. And then there was human performance. And that major also had, was able to go into cardiac rehab. So I wanted to do that. I did that, and I just didn't enjoy it as much. So when I came home for 1 year for Thanksgiving, my dad's like, "Oh, I'll introduce you to a guy by the name of Bill Parisi." And I knew the Parisi name because he was in my home in our hometown. He was well known for being an athlete, and which we went to the same high school, and I know him from my high school and all that stuff. I mean, he's older than me, but I knew the name. And his sister is actually Bill's sister is actually graduated with my brother, so we know the family well. My hometown is only 1 square mile. We kind of know everyone.
Right. Small town.
And so my dad introduced me at a football game. He said, "Yeah, come in and we'll interview you and see if there's a job opening." And literally the next week, I went in for an interview, got the job, moved from Connecticut to New Jersey. I left cardiac rehab, and then ever since I started with him in 1998, April of '98, and then that company was now bought out by Crunch. But I've been with that organization, the same company, I guess you can say, technically, the entire time for 22 years.
Mm. Okay, so now walk us through. You're a personal trainer. Your job is to coach. Your job is to inspire. Your job is to motivate. This is the interesting part. Now, talk us through your journey once you kind of had the crushing news that you had this MS thing, and now you're in a position where you need to inspire people, and you've been in this for the long haul. So talk about the ups and downs of that particular journey. Like, how do you give when you feel like you are not always in a position to give?
Yeah. So as you know, you were in the field, and when you're working with a client, it becomes a personal relationship. And again, I'm not that person who tells my client everything that's going on with me or the woes of my life and all that, because at the end of the day, they're spending the money. It's about them. But as we get to know each other, they're asking about my family and everything else, and it comes up.
Sure.
Now, what I feel is my advantage maybe over some other people is that what inspires me to become healthier and live a better quality life is that I know that it will help me stick around for my family and just to be better and healthier overall. So with that information, I try to utilize it with my clients, and I say the same thing. And I said this from 21 years ago to I said it to yesterday to one of my clients. At the end of the day, or any workout, there are days that we all have that are better than others. There's days I wake up and my legs feel great. I'm gonna all right, today I'm gonna jump rope, and I'm gonna get on the bike and I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I can't jog. Running is out of running, jogging, or even walking fast is out of my realm right now. So on the days that I feel better, I work out harder. On the days that I wake up and I have a hard time because one of my biggest challenges is sleeping. I don't really sleep well. So
Is that MS related?
yes, because it's MS related, because one of the biggest things with MS is spasticity.
Mm-hmm.
So, and restless legs and everything else. So there's times in my left leg only, will jump spastically every 14 seconds.
While you're sleeping or while you're trying to sleep?
While I'm trying to sleep, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to sleep with that is not good. So it's very common. People with MS don't sleep well. So, but again, our jobs are, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're at work at 5 o'clock, you're going to be tired anyway, because unless you went to bed at 8 o'clock. But I use my challenges every single day to try to inspire my clients when they have a bad day. And I'm like, listen, I simply say, at the end of the day, not every day is going to be a great day. We need to make the most of the day, like carpe diem, seize the opportunity, seize the day. On the days that we feel like we had a good night's sleep, we feel like we're rested, we feel like we can push ourselves. Let's push ourselves harder today. Let's make today a better day than it was yesterday. Now, one of the mottos I've learned in life and through some additional certifications and information and classes and lessons, whatever, is I teach my clients to aim to be 1% better than they were the day before. We all know that perfection in real life does not exist. But if we aim to be good enough, or aim to be slightly better than we were, it makes a more realistic approach. Like
And is that
I'm
in
not
all areas?
I would say yes. I like to
Okay.
do in all areas. I mean, I think everyone can be better, 1% better in all areas. I don't believe in perfection. Like I would never, I have never gave myself, if a scale is 1 to 10, I would never give myself a 10 because I feel like I can always do better. Same thing with sport. I mean, I was an athlete my whole life in my little small town of 1 square mile town. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm in the, I got inducted. I had my trophies, whatever. But I went to high school, and in high school, I was a good athlete. I wasn't the star. I mean, I was the captain of the football, baseball team, but I wasn't the star. I didn't make all state. I was like, and then I went to college. I played college sports, but I was just another kid. I wasn't that star player. So therefore, I always believe with everything, we all can be better than we have been. So I know that every one of my clients, they give me the best they can. Maybe they gave me the best they can that specific moment or that day. But we do a little reflection. And it said, you know what? I probably could have pushed myself a little more here, a little more there. And then we plan for that according to the next, and we plan for that at the next workout. So I use my own challenges and said, all right, today I walked around the block without my cane. I go, wow, it's a great day for you. I go, yeah, I felt good. So I try to interject when appropriately because I don't like to be heavy on myself during a session.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit more when we get towards the video of why I made the video. Unlike you, I'm a kind of a shyer guy. Like I don't put myself out. Until recently, I wasn't a Facebook person. I wasn't like someone that would share a lot on Facebook.
Right.
I'm not someone that likes to be the center of attention. I guess I lacked confidence or whatever it was, but I wasn't a guy that would wear no sleeves at the gym. I'm like, I'm going to cover my arms up. They're too thin, whatever, I was always that guy.
Right.
And I would always be called like the coach's dream. Like if you're my coach, you tell me what to do. I'm going to run through the wall. If you tell me to run through the wall, I'd say fine. But there was always some things that held me back a little bit. And I realized now with my challenge that I have a way to hopefully inspire others. And I know I was doing that my entire life anyway, but now I've been at work 22 years, 21 of those years I've had MS. So I've utilized my own experiences, how I overcame certain challenges, how I still am legally blind and still get stuff done, how I can't walk around the block, but I can jump rope. And I did the same thing. My clients like, oh, I have no time. I can't do anything. Or I'm too heavy. I can't do this. I go, I jumped rope today.
Right.
Oh yeah. Okay. You know what? Oh yeah. Maybe I'll do something. Okay. So just not to make them feel bad, but just more of an inspiration to be like, listen, if I can do this with my challenges, what I have, and I'm open about. I'm very open about it now. I was the person who wouldn't talk about it, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily would talk about it, but I didn't want to be the center of attention about it. To be like, listen,
Like you wouldn't have done this podcast a couple of years ago.
I might not have. I mean, I'm open to talking about it, but it's like I was never shy. Everyone's like, oh, do you mind if I have a friend that I'm so inspired by you. Could you talk to my friend? I go, of course. I've never shied away from that.
Okay.
But I was never being like, let me make a video and let me look to inspire the world because I'm like, whatever. So
I got you.
As I say in my video, and at the end of it, I think I say, no matter what, everyone's got baggage. Everyone's got something that's either holding them back or something that they wish they'd done better, or I can't do this because of this. And I think that's just a little deflection. They're looking for excuses. And as I advance my education, and as you know, one of the certifications, Precision Nutrition 1, Precision Nutrition 2, which are two great nutrition certifications, I've learned to enhance my knowledge where I help people to move a little bit each day.
Those are technically nutrition certifications, but it's very deep on the psychology of coaching, which is what I liked about those certifications.
And that's exactly what I love about them too.
Yeah.
Yes, you beat me to the punch there. So with that whole psychology of everything, and now I'm diving deeper into They have the PN Academy now and Change Psychology. And
Yep.
I'm diving
Yep.
into I'm in the second course of Change Psychology now, which I just love because there's so much other ways that we can inspire people. Like, listen, everyone fell into the trap back in the day. Like, oh, you got to drink at least half your body weight in ounces of water, or you're not going to be hydrated enough. And I'm like, are you drinking 1 glass of water a day? Can you drink 1.25?
Right.
They're like, of course I can. Oh, it's good. Then prove me wrong and drink 1.25. And then, but I like to under promise and over deliver. So with that concept of like, I set people up for realistic, attainable goals instead of being like, you need to eat this many grams of carbohydrates, this many grams of protein. I'm like, just aim to eat more. And then we break it down, and I help to devise a strategy that is essential for them, that they feel confident that they can definitely achieve, to help them get closer to their goals, or to even just move a little bit along the continuum to
Right.
where they want to be.
Has your MS attracted a certain type of clientele to you? Other people who might have MS or other people who might have autoimmune conditions?
Yes. And
Talk about that a little bit.
yes, it definitely has, because now there's people out there that know that, because now I'm open about it, and I've shared the video, and I've talked about, even in my Instagram account, and in my profile it says MS Warrior. And I did a big, it probably drew more attention like last year when it was my 20th anniversary. I did a fundraiser, and I wanted to raise as much money as I can, and my goal was to get in as best shape as I could get into. And I really put it out there, and my entire gym got involved. They made T-shirts. They were very nice. Made T-shirts. We raised like $3,000. It was great, and it definitely brought. Now my neurologist is sharing my information. Now she sent me 2 more people that have MS, and then now if you look at my Facebook profile, it talks about me being someone that works with people with autoimmune, specializes in people with autoimmune disorders, or people with chronic illnesses. Because at the end of the day, sometimes if you're a bodybuilder, you want to work with other bodybuilders. Like, I know now I'm not the best candidate to train athletes. Not that I don't have the knowledge, but for me, I don't feel comfortable if I can't show someone the exercise. So, if you want to do a quick ladder drill, I can't do that. I can walk very slowly, but I can't demonstrate quick feet. I can't demonstrate lateral exchange. I just can't do that because of the electrical shocks that I get when I move, or my leg doesn't lift up. In order to demonstrate that proper technique of that exercise. So therefore, my niche now has become people that are older, the more mature clientele, and or the person that has suffering from chronic illness, which has become more of my niche. So that's where I'm really spending most of my time now, is working with individuals that are either older and or that have chronic conditions, that they understand the challenges that I go through, and that I'm able to persevere through them in whatever way, shape, or form, even if it's a little bit at a time, and that they see that as a driving force to help them to move forward and to become a little bit better themselves.
And it's not always older people, right?
No.
I mean, so I assume part of your clientele must be younger people who also have conditions, correct?
100%. Yes. No, the older people I have typically are just older people. They're just not necessarily, they're in their 70s or 80s,
right?
And they just happen to be, they're not necessarily ill. They just are older. But no, I have other 40-year-olds that have MS. I have a couple clients that had dementia. I had a couple clients that had Parkinson's that were, they were older, but some of the other people are, I had a 30-year-old with MS. I had a 40-year-old with MS.
Yeah, see, that's what I find interesting. Like the younger people who might come to you for MS, you can now, in effect, be that person that you never had.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's exactly. Now, many, many years ago, when I first got diagnosed, I started working with other people. Like one of my client I'm actually still working with now, 22 years later. I got diagnosed, and then literally a week later, he comes into the gym looking for a trainer, and he shared with, I know you remember Keith Smilin.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He shared with Keith, oh, I just got diagnosed with MS. He was like, oh my God, one of our trainers just got diagnosed like a week ago. He's like, and that guy's like, I want to work with him.
Yep.
And 21 years later, we're still working together. But yes, so there were people, and at one time I had 4 or 5 clients that had MS. And at that time, I reached out to a guy. I don't know if you know the name Michael Yusuf.
Do not.
He's in our industry. He's probably a few years older than, he was probably my age now when I met with him in his 40s, and maybe he's in his 50s now. But he was someone in the city that worked in Chelsea Piers, working specifically with MS and AIDS. And I remember him from a couple of articles that I read so I reached out to him. He was nice enough to meet me. And we talked about things and how I could be that person that specializes in training people with MS specifically. Now, a little backstory on that is, I was 24 when I got diagnosed. 24 and engaged with my ex at the time, actually. And I did not want my entire world at the age of 24 to be with people with MS. I just was like, at the time, I was like just trying to deal with my diagnosis.
Sure.
I didn't want to see people in wheelchairs and like that, thinking that's going to be me. That could be me. So I actually pushed that aside, and I probably am a little bummed out about it because now 21 years later, I could be the expert traveling the world giving speeches about it, which I didn't do, which obviously it's never too late, but
definitely not too late.
There are other people now that are doing that, but again, I can still do it. But so with that being said, yes, I do have a fair amount of clients with MS. I'm a resource for people. Another member at the gym said the other day, "Oh, my young sister has it. Can I call you? Can she call you?" So the great thing about it is now I've become a resource at my gym that everyone knows my situation. It's public information now,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone comes up to me saying, "No, can I have my friend call you?" And then they're 30, 40, 50, 60. The age ranges from as early as 24, like myself, to someone that is, 50, 60, 70, whatever, dealing with whatever challenge they have. But because of my challenges, people feel really comfortable with me because they know the daily struggles. Well, after knowing me a little bit, when we share information, they understand the stuff that I go through. And like anything else, people typically feel more comfortable if they know that the person they're working with also has challenges and can understand the challenges that they have and can then develop a program that would be usable and benefit them for the challenges that they are going through.
Let me ask you this question, because you're in the field and this is what you do. How would you personally define motivation?
I would say motivation is something that gets you going, but there's more to it than that. I mean, whatever is your internal driving force is going to motivate you, but motivation just gets you started. Then we need to develop some form of consistency, some form of accountability to keep us going. Like one of my friends literally
I see. So you see motivation as the starting line.
Exactly.
It's not the thing in and of itself. It is just the beginning.
No, because at the end of the day, we have to figure out how do we stay motivated?
Right.
This is where I help my clients through coaching to get to where they want to get to. Like one of my clients today, because I'm motivated. I don't see, I lack motivation, but I get started. I just don't keep up with it. So most of my clients are motivated. Their challenge is they lack the accountability to get it done. And they know that, and again, I joke around with my clients when they all say, "Oh, I'm so happy I came in today because I wasn't really feeling it today, but I knew I was meeting with you, and because I didn't want to let you down, I came in today and I got a great workout in."
Yep.
And a lot of people, and I jokingly say, "This is why I have a job." This is why
exactly. That's what they pay us for in large part. There's the technical knowledge, but so much of it is just the inspiration.
No, 100%. It's inspiration and the accountability.
Accountability.
The missing link for most people, listen, myself included, right? During quarantine, I lost I kept working out. I was doing more cardio, but I was like lacking motivation for myself to be as consistent with my weight training. And I have a little gym at my house, and I have what I need to get done. But I just focused on mainly doing like I came across a recumbent bike, so I was focusing on my legs, getting my bad leg stronger. So I did more cardio than anything else because I physically can't do a lot of leg training. As someone in the field, you understand is that my left side is so weak that when I do any kind of squats or lunges, I just collapse on that one side.
Mm.
So I feel it's very challenging to strengthen up the legs in that way because I feel like I'm cheating so much I'm utilizing my right leg so much. So by going on a recumbent bike and stuff like that, I felt like I can't do a regular upright bike because I got drop foot. My foot just slips out of the cradle all the time. So the recumbent bike is more useful for me pushing at a more level, like a level way versus being up top. So, and again, it's worked. My legs have gotten stronger.
Tell us about the video. This was sort of like your coming out moment, for lack of a better word, correct?
Yes.
Walk us through that.
All right. So the whole idea of the video was, I have a client who is an actor who has been on Broadway, been on stage, and if you happen to be on my Facebook feed, you'll see, or my social media feed, he's my biggest fan. This is a gentleman who joined the gym because he was turning 50. His father had his first heart attack at 50 years old.
Mm.
He was 49 when he joined the gym and obese. So he went to Nutrisystem, lost 40 pounds just so he can feel comfortable to walk in the door of the gym.
Mm.
So he comes in and our first, everyone that joins our gym gets a free session. So we worked out, and then he was talking, he asked my story and he was asking about me, and then somehow it came up that I had MS. And he's like, holy shit. He goes like, excuse my language. He's like, holy crap. He goes like, you tell me what you told me is such inspiration that he literally right then and there joined the gym and bought 20 sessions. He's like, I'm sold.
Mm.
And he wanted to lose weight and get healthier. So therefore I share with him. I also do this nutrition coaching called Precision Nutrition. The next day he signed up and did a year and lost a tremendous amount of weight. And through our journey, he's like, Rob, you really have to share your story. Like, it's so inspirational that you should do a video. And I'll share it. I'll help you out. I'll create I'll do a lot of things for you. So he put the bug in my head. And I just happened to have a very good friend of mine that I grew up and played baseball with my entire life and all that stuff, who is an amateur filmmaker. So I reached out to him. He's like, Rob, I love the story. And I actually, believe it or not, I've been wanting to talk to you about doing something like this for a while now. And I just never had never had the audacity to ask if you would be willing to talk about it. Because I know, in the beginning, you weren't really, everyone knows about it. Everyone I grew up with, everyone in my world knows about it. But he goes, I didn't want to ask you about it. So therefore, I didn't. But so I met with him. We actually met at the Fairlawn Gym. We did that video that you see. And it was that was my big moment right there to really get the word out and to talk about my experience and why I do what I do and why I try to motivate and inspire others. And I truly love doing what I do. As the saying goes, if you do what you love, you don't feel like you don't feel like you're working at all.
Yep.
And I love it. I wake up every day. I'm looking forward to motivating my clients and inspiring them. And as I continue to educate myself with amazing organizations like Precision Nutrition and other organizations, I just think it's a great thing to do to help others.
And what are the stats on MS in the country? Do you know what they are currently?
To tell you the truth, I haven't seen it lately. I do know, though, that it's growing exponentially. It's a lot. Okay. It is. It really is, because again, maybe that's the testing of it. Maybe that's the more, like anything else in life, we become more aware of things,
mm-hmm.
and that becomes the awareness there. but there's a lot more information out there now than there ever was. Like, depending on lack of vitamin D and where you are in position to the equator will definitely have an impact on your diagnosis. Could have an impact on your diagnosis. Like the highest rate is in Canada, but below the equator it's a lot less. And that's what they're thinking. All right, well, it has something to do with the climate and the weather, not necessarily climate, but how much sun you get. And they're noticing people at younger ages now are getting it because, I know my kids walk out the door. They don't go outside without slathering on sunscreen and covering them up, so they're not getting any vitamin D. So I know that's the case. And, with better modalities nowadays and drugs, they're dealing with it better. But the numbers were pretty, it was like millions of people a year, are suffering from it. But the challenge is it's so hard to diagnose it because there's so many variables, like we mentioned earlier, that people are finding out they have it. They have double vision, or the most common thing is people will have like blurry vision, or like I say they had vision like I have. It goes away in a couple of weeks, and doctors they give them steroids. This is the most common scenario. Someone has bad vision. Go to a doctor. Doctor's like, oh, you got bad vision. You go, okay, let me give you some steroids, prednisone. Go on a course of steroids, prednisone for a week or whatever, and that typically speeds up the process. All of a sudden, it goes away. And then 10, 15, 20 years later, it happens again. And then they do some research and say, has this ever happened before? Yes, it happened when I was 20. Oh. Then they do an MRI, and then it finds out that you have MS. That's the most common diagnosis. Someone gets their first attack or exacerbation in their 20s or 30s, and then 10 or 15 years later, something else happens, and they put two and two together, and they figure out that, oh, you probably had your first attack of MS 10 and 15 years ago, whatever it was, and now this makes sense that it's happening.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, for me, when I had my situation, I had the trifecta, meaning that my mother had it. All right, so that's one thing in the family. I had osteoarthritis, and then they did MRI to show lesions on my brain. But besides that, they did a spinal tap and saw stuff in my particles in my spinal cord, my spinal fluid, that showed up. That was the confirmation. That was like the ultimate confirmation of plaque in my spinal fluid. And that was the ultimate thing. I'm like, all right, yes, you have MS. You can confirm that 1,000,000% because of, brain, MRI, because of spinal cord fluid, and in your family. So that was like the ultimate right there.
Well, you know what, Rob? Your story's amazing. It hasn't stopped you. You've just kept trucking on. And the fact that you're putting yourself out there now as somebody who's going to help people going forward is, I feel, the best thing you can do. And that's what I got out of our first conversation. I'm glad you're doing this. It's a reason I wanted to sort of get you on here and tell your story, in a longer format, Yeah. We are going to end with the video. It's the last thing I'll roll out to. But before we wrap it up, how could people reach out to you if they want to contact you?
Well, there's, people can message me either on Facebook and just on the Rob Klein on Facebook. They can Instagram. They can
spell your name so they can find you on Facebook.
Sure, Rob, Klein, Klein.
Okay.
They could email me at getfitnow@gmail.com, but that is GETFITTNOW.com.
I'll put that up on the screen.
Yeah, and I always tell people that, did you misspell that? But I'm like, no, there's 4 principles in weight training. There's frequency, intensity, time, and type. So therefore, the idea of that is on purpose.
Right.
They're like, oh, I never heard
that.
Like,
you're brilliant.
I'm like, I never heard that before. I'm like, oh, that's exactly it. I mean, I know it's not misspelled, but that's the reason why I did that. And then my Instagram handle is Rob, ROBKLEIN _GetFitNow.
Got it.
And again, that's FITTNOW now.
Got it. All right, I'll put that on the screen. And is there anything else you'd like to add that's not a question of mine that you just want to tell everybody?
Listen, yes, I would. Listen, what I always like to share with everyone is that listen, everyone has something that is challenging, and I say, if you'll hear at my end of my video, is that everyone's got something they're dealing with, and at the end of the day, every one of us, I truly believe, can become a little better each and every single day. And we all have challenges, like I mentioned, and we have to persevere and push through those challenges to get to where we want to get a little bit better. Most people that I ever come across have set their goals too high. And there's nothing wrong with having high goals, which I think it's amazing. But we need to set realistic, attainable goals. And by that, I mean something that we truly feel confident. Like if we were to give it a scale of 1 to 10, you want to feel like a 9 or 10. Like, I definitely got this. And that is the reason why when I meet with my clients and we develop a game plan, is I set the expectations down where they feel extremely confident and they said, I can definitely do this. Because when they have that confidence and what is initiating that change talk that they really want it, I know that they then have a better chance of achieving what they want to achieve. So therefore, with that being said, again, it's just a matter of doing it. And at the end of the day, I consistently talk about consistency. One of the things I say all the time, which is very silly, but is the secret concept that people are not hearing about or that don't know about is consistency. Like, it's not, there's no magic pill. There's no quick results. There's no quick fix. Believe me, we all want to be rich and famous, or maybe rich, but that doesn't happen overnight unless you win the lottery. And the same thing with health. You're not going to change your health with a cleanse. You're not going to change it with a fad diet. And I always say, if you're going to change anything, ask yourself the simple question: can you do this for the next 12 months? Is this something that you feel confident, like a 9 or a 10, that you can keep this going for the next year? If the answer is yes, then by all means, go for it. If you wiggle a little bit and say, I'm not sure, it sounds really hard, then it's going to be too much for you to do. Set yourself up realistically. If you need help, find someone, find a partner, find a buddy, hire someone for accountability purposes and give you better direction, and someone that is going to work with you that meshes with what your philosophy is and what you want to achieve. Too many times people see someone on Instagram and they say, I'm going to have that body. And they don't realize that person, the exercise they're doing took them weeks, months, or years to achieve, but they're making it look so easy. And they're like, oh my God, they did it. Why can't I do it?
Yeah, either that or they won the genetic lottery and they just happen to have it.
Exactly.
In which case you can't do anything about that either.
Exactly. You know how many times I got clients like, look at this actor. He's 50 years old. How come I don't look like that?
Yeah, I had clients do that too. They bring in a picture. Like they cut a picture out of a magazine and say, I want to look like this.
Yeah. Listen, on a little side note is, I jokingly wanted to do the whole, lack of better words, FU Mark Wahlberg challenge. Only because he posted recently that he turned 50 or 47, whatever age he is, and he was shredded to the bone. And I still might do this. This might be my next thing I might do. And he posted out there. He's like, look at me. Age is just a number. You can get, McGarrett, you're worth $200 million.
It helps.
You have, that helps a lot, right? Listen, I'm not taking away his work ethic. I'm not taking anything away. I know he gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he works out. And
he does. From everything I've read, yes, he's very disciplined.
And I've read that, and I know that. I'm not taking anything away. But so basically, my goal was to get in amazing shape and get on like lack of a better word, bodybuilding stage ready, almost, and post and be like, you know what? F you, Mark Wahlberg. I'm 48 years old. Whenever I do it, 47, whatever. I have MS. I work full time. I got 2 little kids that I have to take care of. I'm worth a couple $100 million less than you. And I did it. And I did it. And listen, so it can be done, but it's a little bit easier for you because you have the resources to spend the money. You can have someone be your private chef. You can buy all the supplements in the world because you can afford it.
Yep. Or
you have your own brand now because you're successful enough to do that.
Yep.
That's all. So again, it's just more of a motivational thing. And then the funny thing, I was talking to I have a client I was working with this morning from Maryland, was like, Rob, you should do that and post it. I'll share the hell out of that. And that's going to be that's going to be motivational for the whole world to do. So I'm like, it's out there. I still may do it for this summer. And
well,
say,
hey, it's a new year. If you're going to do it, like, now's the time, right?
Exactly. New year, new you. That's, hence the reason why I shared on Facebook today, my little social media post today about Kermit the Frog looking in the mirror, wondering why.
I saw it.
Why he doesn't have results yet. It's been 15 minutes, but yeah, no, just mainly that, listen, don't give up. It's a marathon. It's not like the old saying, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Be consistent. The biggest word is consistency and accountability. Find those two things, and I am sure you will achieve amazing things.
Well, Rob, like I said, I can't thank you enough for giving us this time. And I know your story will inspire many. And we're going to put your contact information up. So if anybody wants to contact Rob, you may. And we're going to roll out with this video. Is there a title for the video?
My Journey with MS.
Okay, here we go. My Journey with MS. Thanks again, Rob.
Thank you very much.
I got into fitness because of always being fortunate enough to be athletic as a kid. So because of that, I decided that when I went to college, I wanted to pursue that. At first, I went into cardiac rehab, but I realized how slow it was, and I did not like it. Then I discovered one-on-one personal training and training in general, and I really has found that is what I feel my calling, is helping people to become, what I say, a better version of themselves, and help empower them to become the best that they can be. When I went to college, I was heavier because I was playing college football. And when I got hurt and couldn't play football anymore, I decided right then and there that I want to look as good as I can on the beach. So I set my plan to, I still went to college at 195 pounds, got up to 205 pounds, and weaned myself down to become as lean as I can, and currently I'm 160 pounds. So my goal, which may sound as shallow as it is, but is to look as good as I can look, take my body to the max that I can take it to, especially when I'm going away, or like everyone else in the world, when summer's coming. But I try to represent the picture of health. I believe in practicing what you preach. So since I'm teaching health and fitness and nutrition coaching and lifestyle change, I like to live the lifestyle of a healthy individual and be as lean as possible, so I can show people you can still eat and have fun and enjoy yourself, but there are limitations to what we can and cannot do, and at the same time have fun but yet stay in shape. I have what's known as relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. And what that means is that at any given day, I can have one challenge, and strangely enough, that challenge could disappear. So unfortunately for myself, over the last couple of years, my left side of my body has been affected. My left grip, my left hip, I can't raise my left leg more than 2 times without it dying on me. So it caused me to trip and stumble. Currently, one of my challenges is I'm getting these crazy electrical shocks, unfortunately in my groin, and that inhibits me from walking as far as I'd like to.
I think it's amazing. I mean, I've talked to him about it. I talked about when he found out what he was doing. He was already working here at the gym when he did find out, when he was diagnosed. And I just think that's pretty incredible that he didn't just roll over and say, poor pitiful me, my life is over.
Thinking about being aware.
Fortunately for me, in the beginning, it wasn't as severe. I was running. I was doing crazy workouts. It wasn't as limited. now fast forward 20 years, besides being 20 years older, I just physically can't go for a long walk. I can't do things that I want to do with my wife or my kids, and that gets hard. You know, the challenge is that my kids only know me as being sick. But they didn't see me as the athlete that I was. They didn't see me, in my small town on the wall of fame. They didn't see that. So that's my biggest challenge, but they know and they understand.
I think that Rob's dedication to his own health is an inspiration to all of us for our health. And to see him go through his daily struggles, sometimes his leg is bothering him, you see him limping a little bit, he just carries on.
I walked in here at the end of June, having not been in a gym since the early 90s, and they set me up with Rob. And the first day, I felt a connection to him. And I think it was really because he was very forthcoming about his MS. And instantly I said, oh my God, if this man can do what he's doing every day, there is no reason why my fat rear end can't get off the couch and get in here.
I feel over the 20 years I've overcome a fair amount of challenges. And I want to let people know that no matter how challenging you have it, you can still do some form of movement that will benefit you in a great way. So it's nice to understand what someone's going through. I like to help as many people as I can. People understand what I'm going through, and they know that I understand what they're going through if they have a challenge.
I hear from him every day. He's a coach, he's a mentor, he's a friend. He's my rah-rah cheerleader.
Because he has his challenge and he works through it and he does his best and he's got a smile on his face. He never misses work, he's always there. Yes, he's definitely an inspiration.
Someone else always has it worse off than you, no matter how bad you got it. No matter how good you got it, someone's always got it better than you. So I've used that motto to help me stay as positive as possible, because I know there's other people out there with MS that can't walk. I can walk, I can function, I can do what I do. I know sometimes I may not appear that I have a challenge because I am physically fit. But at the end of the day, if you spend some time with me, you'll understand that I do have limitations and they're getting greater and greater as time goes by.